thumbs in a moment. There we go. Thank you so much. It's a good thing I never joined a comedy club. So, everybody good? Thumbs up all around? Everybody can hear me? All right, who's ready to head out? Perfect. So if you guys want to go ahead and follow me, who has been on Living with the Land? If you haven't, then you got some homework afterwards. But we're going to be going in reverse order of the boat ride. So what you saw first on the boat ride is what we're going to see last. What you saw last is going to be what we see first. This tunnel to the right, that's going to be the tunnel that takes you right back to the land pavilion from the last greenhouse, just to kind of give you an idea of where we are right now backstage. Now, who remembers the room behind the glass window in the last greenhouse? Yeah, the biotechnology lab. That's going to be what we go look at next. So feel free to take a step down, take a look inside, stay as dry as possible. And you can also look up on the TV screen. That's going to show you how we make all of the Mickey Mini Gardens that are available for purchase over at the front desk. So what we do is we take parent plants and we'll take cuttings from those parent plants. Then we'll take several different individual cuttings, put them inside of those jars. The bottom of that jar, there's a gel-based solution called agar, which is a seaweed-based solution. That's going to provide all of the necessary nutrients and water for that plant. And then all of the lights you see up there also are going to stimulate the plant's growth one way or the other. So the red light promotes root health. The blue light promotes shoot health. They're going to absorb the white light, and then they're going to reflect green light. So that's why you always see plants are green. Now, you give it all of that necessary stimulation. Plants are very cool because they can grow from a single cell. So you take those cuttings, you give it all of the necessary stimulation in the jars, they'll be able to sprout completely new roots from that one cutting. So you can have multiple different plants from one parent plant. We also use this as a nice little bank in case anything happens in the greenhouse. Let's say, for example, there's a disease that goes around, kills off all the passion fruit that are inside of our greenhouse. Well, we have a nice little bank of passion fruit for you to go back out into the greenhouse because they're originally from the original parent plants that grew in there. Now, if you're interested in taking a piece of Living with the Land home with you guys, I highly recommend it. I have a Venus flytrap. His name's Victor, and he brings me a lot of joy in my life. So if you want to experience the same amount of joy I have, highly recommend getting yourself a Mickey Mini Garden.
How do the diseases get in a controlled environment?
It's just a worst case scenario. So it's just like an example. If that ever happens, if something like that ever happens. It is a boat ride also. So the boat rides can come through and then something could come with them off of like their persons. But that's pretty much like just a worst case scenario kind of situation. And here we're also going to work with the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, because a lot of places, unlike the U.S., aren't as fortunate enough to have a lot of space to grow crops. So we're going to look at how we can grow crops in like warehouse environments, so having a lot of yield in a small space. So you'll see a lot of those similar systems in the greenhouses. We're also going to look at how we can make plants a little bit more resilient to the weather, resilient to pests. Also looking at how we can develop plants and grow in very small confined spaces for use on cool things like the International Space Station. So if an astronaut decides that they don't want to have freeze-dried ice cream 7 days in a row and want a nice ripe tomato, that option will be available to them at some point in the near future. Now in the next greenhouse, I'll point out, you'll see a little container that has a dwarf plum tree and a small tomato vine that are growing in there for actual research for use on the International Space Station. Does anybody have any questions about anything they see so far? All right, who's just ready to get into the greenhouses? All right, perfect. So you guys want to go ahead and follow me? Like I said, we're a USDA facility, so we keep everything as clean as possible. We also serve some of the restaurants on property. So every plant in here is going to be edible or beneficial to some degree, and we want to keep it that way. So please do not touch or eat any of the plants that you guys are about to see. Also, make sure to stay behind any white lines. And don't step in any of the gravel or the sand. Hello. All right. Now, at any point in time, if you want to wave to the people on the boat ride, you feel Frito, wave to the people on the boat ride. You guys are the stars of the show now. They don't realize all it takes is $35 in a dream to do the tour. Now, over there in that window, you can see that little container I was talking about. That's going to be where that dwarf plum tree and that tomato vine are growing. Now, everything you're about to see in the greenhouses are grown hydroponically. What's hydroponics? I'm glad you asked that question. We'll get to that in a little bit. Now, plants are going to need 5 main things to grow. I use an acronym called LAWNS to help me remember what those 5 things are. So, first thing, what does the L stand for? Lights. What does the A stand for? Air. W. N. Nutrients. And S. Soil. Take everything you know about plants, throw it away. The S is going to stand for something a lot of humans need also. That's going to be support. So that metal rod is that squash's support. Now, if I were to take that metal rod away from the squash, they would be on the ground. Someone would accidentally step on it, and then it'd be squish. Now, you give the plant those 5 things, they can grow in any situation you throw them in. So they have light, they have airflow. The water and the nutrients are mixed together. So in the next greenhouse, you guys are going to see there's 2 tanks, several different elements. Those tanks mix together, create a nutrient solution, and then that nutrient solution is then mixed into the water. So the water has a lot of different nutrients in it. So we're going to essentially kill 2 birds with 1 stone by pumping water with nutrients directly onto the roots. And then you give it the support, those 5 things, they can grow. And as you can see, big, happy, healthy squash. The only system in the greenhouse that isn't going to use a nutrient solution are actually going to be the aquaponics on the other side of the boat ride. That's going to be a nice mutualistic relationship that the fish are going to have with the plants. So the fish, we're going to feed the fish. What are the fish going to do after that? They're going to poop. Absolutely. So all that nitrogen from the poop is going to feed the plants. And in turn, the plants are going to clean the water for the fish. So it's a nice mutualistic relationship that those 2 have with each other. Now, we also use a lot of other different medias to actually use support to hold the roots into place. So over here in these column pots, the media that we use is called rock wool. It's a volcanic rock that's spun very quickly, almost like cotton candy. And over here in these buckets made out of expanded polystyrene, the media that we're going to use is called perlite, which is a volcanic rock that's heated up and popped just like popcorn. Now, does anybody have any questions so far about anything you see? There's a lot of really cool systems in here.
Does this one turn?
So it can turn, but it just doesn't. It has the capabilities of doing that. However, the turning doesn't really matter. It also really doesn't matter for the squash either. So we could have, for example, this whole system right here could still be like extended and brought out. They don't need to be like exposing their roots. It just looks very cool for the boat ride.
Okay.
So for example, if I was going to ask someone on the boat ride if they thought that it looked cool, they would say yes. What you're going to see a lot of in the greenhouses is everything that looks very, very, very cool looks cool for the ride. Let's see. Sir in the green shirt. Does that look cool? Does that look cool?
The roots.
Yeah, does it look cool? All right, thank you. See? Exactly what I'm saying. All right, now if you guys want to go ahead and follow me. Like I said, everything in the greenhouse is going to be edible or beneficial to some degree. However, there is one exception. His name is Stanley. He's our greenhouse pet. Who wants to give Stanley a high five? Come on over, give Stanley a high five.
Where should I high five?
Just high five him anywhere. What'd you do to Stanley?
I made him nervous. He got stage fright.
He is a shy plant. So Stanley's perfectly okay. Don't worry about it. He's going through a process called turgor right now where he's taking all the water in his leaves, bringing them to his roots and stems to protect themselves. So, everybody that wants a chance to touch Stanley, come on over and touch Stanley. You look like you want to touch Stanley.
I want to touch Stanley so bad.
All right, touch Stanley.
How do I do it?
Just go ahead and touch him just touch his leaves. I know, it's pretty cool.
So cool.
Stanley's going to do this for a number of reasons. Say a cow wants to eat Stanley. Stanley doesn't want to get eaten, so he's going to go and he's going to close up. Now he doesn't look as appetizing. Let's say Stanley is in the middle of a windstorm, heavy gust of wind. Who wants to blow on Stanley? We're going to see if you brushed your teeth. Oh, I guess Stanley has told us everything we need to know. No, I'm joking. Now, let's say Stanley is in the middle of a rainstorm. A lot of leaves, they're going to catch and hold that water. Stanley's selfish. He wants all the water to himself. So a raindrop comes down, it's going to drop on Stanley. He's going to close up, and all that rainwater is going to go directly to his roots. However, like I said, we're in the middle of a heavy rainstorm, so there's a lot of raindrops. Has everyone had the chance to touch Stanley that wants to touch Stanley? Perfect. So, let's say heavy rainstorm. And Stanley's going to completely close up. All those raindrops are going to go directly down to his roots. But don't be worried. Stanley's going to go back to normal in 10 to 15 minutes. So by the time we walk back through this greenhouse, he'll open right back up for everybody to say goodbye to him.
Is Stanley one plant or is there a couple in there?
Stanley is one plant. Stanley, the only reason I call him my pet is because I have just taken the S off of pest. Because he's a weed. That's why he's not edible or beneficial. Do you know the seeds that get stuck to your shirt and you flick them off? That's Stanley. Stanley is a Mimosa pudica. There's a Stanley everywhere in the world. Now, does anybody have any cucumber or melon allergies I should be aware of? I am so sorry.
Y'all can try it for me.
Because I said that we're not going to touch anything, and I already broke rule number 1, so we might as well eat something then, right?
All right.
So I have some cucumbers for everybody except for you. All right, so if you guys want to go ahead and follow me. Unfortunately, no. I'm so sorry. All right, if you guys want to go ahead and make a semicircle around these trash cans right here, kind of loop around, I'm going to hand out some of the medias that we use. So I'm going to hand you the coconut core and the rock wool. So you feel free to just pass it down. And then I'm going to hand you guys the perlites. So whenever you guys get the coconut cores and the rock wools, if you want to do me a favor and put them up on this counter, and then whenever you guys get the perlites, if you want to do the same thing. In the meantime, I'm going to get ready to give you guys some cucumbers. Now, that's about 30% of our annual yield are cucumbers. That's around 10,000 pounds of cucumbers a year. We got to feed you guys every day, Carl. That's a lot of cucumbers. Now, you might have also noticed all of the labels on these trash cans. That's because here at the land, we're a zero waste facility, which means we do our very best to keep everything out of the landfill as much as possible. So we are actually 99% effective at it. We're platinum approved, and the plaque is right there on the wall. So you can take a selfie with it if you want. We're very proud of it. We're hoping to get the rest of Disney property zero waste by 2030. If we manage to do that, it'll be a very huge accomplishment. But we're working on it. Now is going to come time for the hardest part of the tour, is putting cucumbers on toothpicks. So bear with me for a little bit. Look for a good bag. Do we think this looks like a good bag?
Yeah.
All right.
Looks like a cucumber to me.
I hope it looks like a cucumber.
Made. I want to take a cucumber to grow from nothing to something.
From nothing to something? So do you mean like the whole plant itself or like the flower?
The whole plant.
So actually, I will be able to tell you that because when we get into the next greenhouse, you'll be able to not only see where your cucumbers came from, but you'll also be able to see whenever it was actually seeded.
Okay.
So I can give you an actual answer, a 100% factual answer. So there's your cucumber. There's your cucumber. Freshly harvested this morning. There you go.
You can give someone mine.
Would you like a toothpick?
Yeah, I would love it. Thank you so
There you
much.
go.
You can act like you have them.
So yummy.
Oh, I'm full now.
There you go.
Thank you.
There you go. 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 I've heard that before.
Yeah, mine. Things they don't mention in the interview.
And there you go.
Does it have to stay this cool in here for it to work?
This is the only greenhouse that's air conditioned.
So I thought.
Because when we go in the other greenhouses, there's going to be no air conditioning.
Got
All right, now I still have some cucumbers left over. Raise your hand if you want them.
Like, we gotta keep the whole bag or just.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Usually I have multiple people. Oh, perfect. Now we're going to play a little game.
Let her get it.
All right. All right. Now I also work over at the Seas. If you can guess what my favorite ocean animal is, or an animal that's going to make me giggle in this appropriate situation, I will give you the bag. Go. Nope.
Tiger shark.
There we go.
I was gonna say this.
That's a sea cucumber.
I got you.
All right. Perfect. That's a good joke, too.
Yeah, that was.
My favorite joke. All right, now if you guys want to go ahead and help me with my zero waste initiative and throw the toothpicks away for me, you can keep them if you want. It's a souvenir for you. But in the meantime, if you guys are interested in making your own hydroponic system at home, I will have sheets of paper for you guys at the end of the tour that you can take home with you. It's going to let you know how to make a hydroponic grow tank. All you need is an aquarium to hold some water, a board of like expanded polystyrene to float on the surface, a media to hold those roots into place, a nutrient solution to go into the water, an air filter for a nice constant airflow, and of course, Mickey Mouse. Because if you don't have Mickey, it's not going to grow. I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. So it's also one of the rarest hidden Mickeys on property because you can only see it from here. So I'm going to give you 7 seconds to take a picture of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5, 6 3/4, 7. You all know why they call them hidden Mickeys? Boom, it's hidden. Can't see it anymore. All right. You're not going to eat your cucumbers?
It's his cucumbers.
Oh, sounds good. All right. Now, like I said, this is the only air conditioned greenhouse, so it's about to get a little toasty in there now. So if you guys want to go ahead and follow me, it's actually not that bad. So it could be worse. If you're interested in knowing what our nutrient solution is, the tank ingredients are going to be on that green sign right there. So feel free to take a picture of it if you want. Now, over on the right-hand side, we're going to have examples of mini greens. Over on the left-hand side, my right, are going to be examples of microgreens. So mini greens are going to be used for a lot of salads that we serve on property. Our nutrient solution is very acidic. It's about a pH of 5. That acidity is going to promote rapid development for all of the plants. So, this basil, it's pretty big, right? How long ago do you think it was seeded?
No, at least 3 weeks to a month.
June 19th. So you're absolutely right. So, you can see how big this basil is. They're going to actually grow really efficiently in this situation. Now over here, we have the microgreens. A lot of chefs are going to love to use microgreens. It's going to pack a lot of flavor in such a small package. A lot of chefs like to kind of experiment with different microgreens, kind of figure out what works with their dishes, and then they're going to stick with it. Now, if you guys want to go ahead and follow me, like I was saying, we're going to look at ways of growing crops in smaller confined spaces, seeing how we can get a lot of yield in a small area. So everything in here is going to be grown around string. That's why we kind of nickname it the string greenhouse. For example, all these tomato vines right here, they're all grown on strings in a very compact area so that they can grow up to the top, produce a lot of that fruit, but still have enough space for other crops to be grown. Now, are tomatoes trees? No, tomatoes are vines. However, we wanted to make a tomato tree, so we took 2 vines, wrapped string around them, tied to the top of the trellis, and now we have a tomato tree right over here. And now the next system I'm going to show you is going to be our nutrient film technique. This is one of the most efficient systems in the greenhouse. Every Tuesday morning, we're going to harvest a different set of panels. The panels are going to look exactly like this. So there's going to be a cube of rock wool that are going to go in one of these squares. And there's going to be some heads of lettuce in those cubes of rock wool. And then constantly over time, we're always pumping water into the panels. So there's always a nice constant flow of water with that nutrient solution inside of it directly to every single one of these panels, except for this one. So I should probably give its water back, right? So like I said, very efficient system.
Where do the nutrients go after it goes down?
We recycle the water, so if we ever see any imbalances between the elements, that's when we'll like change the water, but our water quality team is always monitoring that. So whenever there's any imbalances, then we'll change the water, but we're for the most part going to recycle it. Now, every Tuesday morning, like I said, we're going to harvest a different set of panels. For example, that set close to the boat ride on the other side of the water, that was harvested last week. This set that's closest to us will be harvested on Tuesday. The set that looks like 100 for Disney's 100th celebration, that will be harvested in 2 weeks. This set will be 3, and the set that just got harvested will be 4. It's a very efficient system. We harvest around 500 heads of lettuce a week. That's 2,000 heads of lettuce a month. Now, if you're interested in knowing where your cucumbers came from, here they are. So these cucumbers were seeded June 6th. Now, whenever you have a young fruit or a vegetable, you can put them in a mold like this, and they actually grow to fill their environment, so they'll grow to fill the mold. Who does this look like? The big cheese himself, Mickey Mouse. So, the cucumber will go in there, it'll grow to fill that mold, and then you can have fun and exciting shapes like Mickey Mouse shaped cucumbers. There's also the same thing we do with pumpkins for Halloween time is we'll get a mold of a Mickey Mouse shaped mold for a pumpkin, put the small pumpkin inside, it'll grow to fill that mold, and then we'll have Mickey Mouse shaped pumpkins for use of like Animal Kingdom, the seas for a lot of animal enrichments. Now, you guys are probably hearing that pop go off. Perfect, on cue. That's going to be what I call the heartbeat of the greenhouse. That is mixing those two tanks together, making that nutrient solution, and then in turn putting that nutrient solution into the water for use all around the greenhouses. Now, over here we have these eggplants. I have a fun story to tell you guys with the eggplants with some of our fan favorites over at Animal Kingdom in the next greenhouse. So if you guys want to go ahead and follow me into the next greenhouse, there is going to be a water cooler on the left-hand side. There's also going to be some benches for you guys to sit down on. You're welcome. 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 All right. So once upon a time, we grew some eggplants. They had a little bit of an aphid infestation on them. We obviously can't serve eggplants that had aphids all over them in the restaurants, so we gave them over to the gorillas at Animal Kingdom instead. Now the gorillas, they ate them. They loved them. That was their favorite thing they ever ate. We didn't even realize gorillas liked eggplants. So we decided to grow more eggplants in a more controlled environment away from any pests. Didn't want to send any aphids over to the gorillas. We grew them, harvested them, shipped them. The gorillas ate them. They hated them. They wanted nothing to do with. They loved the aphids. That was like their microgreens. Added a lot of flavor in such a small package. So having Animal Kingdom in the seas actually is very beneficial for our zero waste initiative also, because instead of wasting and composting any crops that we have because of pests, we'll just give them to the animals instead because we'll appreciate it more than the people will. So that really helps out without having to compost and waste anything that we grow in here. Now, you can see everything in here is grown in sand. The sand can be anywhere from 2 to 5 feet deep, and you might know sand doesn't really retain water very well. So this is not only going to look cool for the boat ride, it's also going to have practical effects also, showing the rest of the world that you can grow anything hydroponically in something like sand. So this is going to be very good for arid regions that have a lot of deserts that won't have access to soil, so they can't grow crops in soil, but they can grow them in sand through hydroponics. Now, how we actually get the water to all the crops is this drip irrigation system. So the blue dots that you see, that is going to be how we feed the water to every single one of the plants in the greenhouse. So depending on the species of plant is going to depend on the amount of water and nutrients that they're going to get. So something like the fig trees, the 9-pound lemon trees, the coffee trees are going to be on a completely different system than something like the hollyhock and something like the hyacinth beans, something like the sorghum, something like the corn on the other side. We're not going to talk about that though, but you can grow corn in sand if you wanted. Now, who doesn't like spicy food? Who thinks jalapenos are too spicy? All right. So jalapenos, Scoville unit, they're about like 500 to 1,000 units. Right over there, we have Carolina Reapers. Who wants some Carolina Reapers? Oh.
Oh, you have one before.
Yeah,
Yes, you have.
I'll use it.
What dishes would you give them to other folks?
I don't know. I'm not eating it though. Why are we growing it? I also don't know. It's a lot of fun. How hot do you think those peppers are?
800.
We've given
Millions
him
of
hot sauce with it.
1,000,000 Scoville. 1,000,000. Jalapeno 500 to 1,000. That's 1,000,000. So if you want to have a very bad day, go ahead and eat it. It won't be me though. Now, when it comes to fruits and vegetables, you need the assistance of bees and butterflies and other pollinators. But do you see any bees and butterflies or other pollinators in this greenhouse?
No.
So we're going to be the pollinators. So depending on the flower and plant is going to depend on how it gets pollinated. Some flowers are fortunate enough to have both the male and the female parts in there, so they will self-pollinate themselves. Other flowers, they're going to rely solely on wind pollination. So we actually have tiny little leaf blowers that will go around blowing on the flower, and it pollinates it that way. But for something that needs additive assistance of a bee or a butterfly, there's actually two different flowers. There's a male flower and a female flower. And I have some examples to show you guys over down by the winter melons. So if you guys want to go ahead and uproot yourselves and follow me. Thanks for the pity laughter. I appreciate it. All right, we got a little Miss Figgy over here. That's not even a joke. That's just what it's called. And we have coffee trees right over here. Who likes to drink coffee? Would you say you go through a cup of coffee a day?
Oh, sure.
If you go through a cup of coffee a day, that's going to equate to about 25 coffee trees in your life. So that's why we want to look at sustainable ways at actually harvesting these crops so we don't over-harvest anything and just completely take it out of the environment. Now, here are the winter melons. Winter melons, they grow on a vine. They normally also grow on the ground, however, we have it tied to the trellis, and they're just suspending in the air. You see that nylon rope attached to it? What is that providing that plant? Support. That's because they get to be 80 to 100 pounds. So it's very heavy. Now, with the male and the female flowers, this right here, this is an example of a male flower. The male flowers are just going to grow on a vine. There's going to be nothing behind it. It's just a flower on a vine. The female flowers are going to have a fruiting bud behind it. So this tiny little bulb is a little baby winter melon. So what we would do is we would take the male flower, we would pluck it off the vine, go up to the female flower, peel the petals back, pollinate it that way, and then we pluck a petal off of the female flower, so it lets everybody know that it's already been pollinated, not to go pollinate it again, so we don't waste 25 male flowers for one female flower, because then we'll only have one winter melon instead of all of these winter melons. Now, if you want to go ahead and follow me, there's some nice rose bushes up ahead.
It's making a little track in the sand. Is that from the water or the irrigation?
It's tiny little lizards.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, those little brown anoles that are all over Florida, they're also all over here. Roses. Now I'm really on the look for a lizard. One guest on my tours for Citron, they ruined Citron for the rest of my life because they said it looks like Thanos' chin. Now you can't get it out of your head. Now, who likes fish? Because we're going to go ahead into the aqua cell next. All right, welcome to the aqua cell. So, aquaculture is very important. Around 50% of the world is going to have aquaculture used in some degree. That's because at least every culture in the world has seafood as some part of their diet. So we want to look at sustainable ways of actually harvesting that seafood. Now, let's say we also want to look at using more sustainable options for seafood just because we don't want to over-harvest anything and potentially just get it out of the environment. You guys can feel free to scooch on in so everybody can come on forward, see everything. Now, here at Disney, everything served at the restaurants is going to be sustainable. Through the Disney Conservation Fund, we actually practice what we preach, and we want to commit to those good practices. How do we know that the fish is going to be sustainable, though? We're going to let Monterey Bay Aquarium over in California do all the heavy lifting for us. So on their website, they have something called Seafood Watch. It's going to be a very good resource for you guys if you are interested in knowing if the seafood that you're buying at a grocery store or marketplace is sustainable or not. Because it's going to show you if the seller that you're buying from has their fish sustainably sourced, or if they're taking large fishing vessels going out in the oceans with big trawl nets and just taking all like the population of tuna out of the environment and then not leaving anything for anything else. For example, let's say I needed to feed everybody salmon at Epcot today. The only way I could do that is I go to Alaska, go to the rivers and streams up there, take all the salmon out of the rivers and streams, give you guys a nice dinner, but that's a problem because now what are the bears and other animals going to eat? So that's why we want to look at sustainable ways at actually farming seafood. Now, seafood is also a very reliable food source. Something like a cow is going to grow a pound for every 8 pounds of food you feed them. Something like our hybrid bass or tilapia, they grow pound for pound. So every pound of food you feed them is a pound that they're going to grow. Our hybrid bass are bred between white bass and striped bass. The white bass promote large growth. The striped bass promote quick growth. Now we have a fish that grows very large very quickly. Does anybody have any shellfish allergies? There's no taste testing. We already ate something. However, the fish food is shellfish based. If you would like to help me feed the fish, that opportunity is available to you. All it's going to involve is stepping up a ledge, holding your hands out like this over a tank. I will pour some food in your hands, and we just feed the fish all together. Sounds good? If you don't want to feed the fish, you can go ahead and have a stand over by that door. But if you do want to feed the fish, go ahead and follow me. So we're going to be feeding the bass today. So I can take groups of around 3 to 4 around here. So if you just want to stand over here, hold your hands out like this, I will pour some food in your hands. All right, and then on the count of 3, I got you also. 1, 2, 3. All right, there's also going to be hand sanitizer on the table for you guys so you get that fish food smell out of your hands. If not, I'm not going to judge you, but the people in your group might. All right, and I'll take my next group of friends. Would you like to feed the fish? All right. Okie dokie. All right. So there's some food for you. There's some food for you. All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, and I'll take my next group. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
She's so heavy. I don't want to give her.
No, go for it. You want to feed the fish?
Yes, I do.
All right, perfect.
And Sandy.
All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. Has everybody that wants to feed the fish had the chance to feed the fish? All right, perfect. Now, before we head into the next greenhouse, we grow 120 species of edible crops in all 4 greenhouses. 80 of those 120 species are going to come from the next greenhouse. So it's definitely the most diverse. You're going to see a lot of really cool crops in there. Like my personal favorite, bananas. Are bananas trees? No, absolutely. Trees have bark, bananas don't. Every part of the banana plant is edible. That's going to be the stalks, the leaves, the flowers, the fruits themselves, of course. Everything on the banana is edible. Fiber. I actually haven't eaten a banana leaf, so I can't really tell you. All right. Now, you guys are about to be in the presence of a local celebrity. His name is Black Pepper Mickey Mouse. He's the oldest plant in the greenhouses. He's 21 years old, which means he's old enough to partake in the activities around Epcot. Now, a couple things are going to happen here. One, I'll play photo pass for you guys. So if you want your picture taken with Black Pepper Mickey Mouse with your groups, I will happily take your phones, cameras, take any pictures for you guys. But I'm also going to pull out of my treasure chest the 5 most expensive spices in the world. So you guys can feel free to unscrew the caps, smell the spices, try to guess what they are. All right, so everybody can take their turn sniffing the spices. Who wants a picture first? All right. You said that smells like Christmas? I get 21 smells like Christmas. Does it smell like Christmas?
Smells like a bad Christmas. I know.
Bad. All right, say grains of paradise. Doesn't roll off the tongue as well, does it? All right, there you go. How do we get the black pepper off?
How do you know it's ripe? It's black.
Whenever, so it's green right now, so it's not ripened. But whenever like starts to brown, then it's gonna be ripe.
Just pull it off and grind it.
All right, has everybody that wants a picture had a chance to get a picture of Black Pepper Mickey Mouse? Has everybody that wants to sniff the spices had a chance to sniff the spices? All right, now this is the fun part where I want you to not only tell me what the spices are, I want you to list them in order from most expensive spice to least expensive spice. Go. What's saffron? What is that one?
Saffron.
I agree with that.
I don't know. You guys are going to have to label and list them in order.
So
I think this is the most
one,
expensive.
I think it goes down the list. So that's why their numbers like that.
or it's a big fat lie.
But does it go this way or that?
I think that's the
Most
most
expensive
expensive.
to least expensive. That's why it's numbered.
You also didn't name what
Right.
they are.
Oh, we didn't name them yet though.
also the least amount about it.
So we have to agree on what they all are.
Yeah, I would be in agreement before.
Cinnamon, vanilla,
Maybe.
clove. No idea what that is.
Peanuts.
No, it's like a tea.
All right, well, is this our final answer?
No, no one let us decide.
Advent,
Join us in our
safflower.
That has to be cinnamon.
It does smell so good.
I know.
Well, whenever you guys come up with the answer, just let me know.
Well, 29 is definitely cinnamon, and 21 is definitely clove.
Yeah. 28. I think is vanilla.
Maybe we should switch that. Cinnamon seems like you
I
get it everywhere.
thought it was nutmeg.
Does nutmeg and cinnamon look exact? I thought nutmeg's a nut. Like it's like circular.
It could be a lie. Like peanuts.
Cinnamon looks like that because it's a bark. They do like shape the bark.
Like peanuts aren't a nut. They're I have
no idea what those are.
That smells like a tea.
I think I might be wrong, but it kind of smells like bay leaves. I'm probably wrong.
Now, is this our final answer?
I do not know.
Or are we going to put 10 at?
I don't think this is yeast. It's vanilla bean itself. Is that vanilla?
Yeah, I don't know.
Vanilla.
I'm gonna
It looks
say
like a vanilla.
this one seems like it's the most.
But it doesn't smell like vanilla. It smells like wood.
Exactly. That's why I can't tell what it is.
I'm going to give you
We're too indecisive
I'm going to give
for
you
this.
one last guess.
Anyone else have
Is that not
better
right the
answers?
first time?
I don't know.
Oh.
I really
If
like
you're okay with
tomato.
this, I'm going to need someone to hit the big red button on the table.
What's the most expensive?
Perfect, thank you. All right, are you ready to know if you're right?
No, I'm a failure on this.
We were so close.
Why?
All right, what's 33?
Saffron.
Vanilla?
Vanilla bean?
It is.
Cardamom.
Clove.
Clove. Cinnamon.
Absolutely. Now, why is saffron the most expensive spice in the world?
What's the most expensive?
Why is it?
Oh, you have to harvest like a whole.
So this flower only grows in the Middle East, and you see those 3 red stomas in the middle of that flower? It's going to take 80,000 of those hand-picked to make 1 pound of saffron.
Wow.
That's why it's like what, $50.
All right. Now I'm going to put my spices back in my treasure chest. Now, does anybody have any last-minute questions for me before we head back?
Wow, this chest really is full.
How would it smell off then?
We don't have
What's your favorite scent?
my favorite scent.
Yeah, of those.
I mean, I like cinnamon.
Cinnamon?
Yeah. So if anybody doesn't have any questions right now, if you want to go ahead and follow me. If you figure out if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll be happy to answer anything for you guys. We're going to head back to the greenhouses, but I'll kind of touch up on some things that we might have missed. So we have a jackfruit tree that's growing over there. Jackfruit is going to be used as a substitute for a lot of meats, like pulled pork, for example. If you guys are interested in knowing what that substitution is like, over at Regal Eagle in the American Pavilion, they actually have a jackfruit substitute for pulled pork sandwiches. So if you want to know what it's like to have a pulled pork sandwich but not have pulled pork, just have jackfruit, I recommend trying it. Now, in the aqua cell, the red light is going to help try to stop algae from growing in the tanks. It's also going to make the fish feel very comfortable. Fish love really dark environments. If you also look at your arms, you can see your veins. That has nothing to do with aquaculture. That's a fun fact. I also just like watching people just pull out their arms and then look at their veins. The big one I've nicknamed Greg.
How long has that one been in there?
I don't know.
I just wonder how long it takes them to get that big.
Oh, they'll get big relatively quickly,
Yeah.
like a couple of months. I just like naming them Greg. There's about 5 Gregs in that tank.
You guys use cotton for anything?
So cotton, you peel the cotton back, the seeds are edible. Over there with those sunflowers, if you know sunflowers, they grow to face the direction the sun is in. My favorite thing about growing sunflowers in a greenhouse environment, they have no idea where the sun's at. So you can see them just facing all kinds of different directions. It's the goofiest thing. I love it. Fig tree. All right, you can put your hands right next to these cooling pads. So cooling pads are corrugated cardboard dripped with water. There's fans on the other side. They're going to bring in all of that gross Florida air. All of it. The cooling pads are going to try to cool off that air and the fans on the other side are going to catch all of that cold air, try to evenly distribute it throughout the whole greenhouse. The only problem is we're in summer 2 right now. Summer 3 is quickly approaching. After summer 3, we go into false fall. After false fall, we go right back to summer 2. So Florida, it's hot no matter what time of the year it is, which is why the last greenhouse is my favorite, because it's air conditioned. Take it in. Feels wonderful in here. Now, as you can see, Stanley's back to normal. So everybody say bye, Stanley.